Okay, there's a new Egyptian tomb that's been found for a princess and a priestess of Hathor. She is said to be a helper in childbirth, and it's not far from the Great Pyramid. Let's see if I can change the contrast a little bit. Maybe you can see it better there. The pyramid's just in the background. There's the Great Pyramid there, and where they're finding this at is on the edge of a burial ground. And they were going through the burial ground and all of a sudden ran into this tomb. Now, what's neat about it is it does discuss there being another tomb that is near there, and where this is right in the Great Pyramids area. But one thing I want to mention, that now that they've started to use ground penetrating radar in this area, they're finding a lot of structures that are here that you can actually just see from Google Earth, that are all structures through here in shapes that they really haven't ever excavated. This thing is 14 foot below the sand to excavate it out. So all this places here are all just swamped under with sand. And indeed, when they found the Great Pyramids, they were swamped under with sand. But this is showing up right over in this area over here where there's a burial ground. And it shows pictures of her. A lot of them, the tomb has been plundered in ancient days, but there was a slot in the wall for her statue to have been there, like they generally have. And there's also an altar and an incense platform and a place for ritual cleansing that's all built into it. And it's actually pretty nice. It takes the normal turn to the right like a female's does, and not left, and so on, and all these things. But she's shown as being extremely pale in most of these pictures here. And what's neat is that it's very well preserved. And so they're able to get a lot of neat pictures out of this. And let's just look through a few of these to show you. But her dress is slightly different than what you would find in just a few later dynasties. In fact, some of the art from this dynasty itself shows to be somewhat different, where you find men wearing little skirts like this, but in a minute you're going to see men wearing pants that actually are not open in the bottom, but actually have been stitched in between. And there's actually it's like a Caribbean shorts these people are wearing. And in a moment, we'll look at this picture over here. This is her, the goddess, and you can see how pale she is. And this group of people that are here, people are able to go into it now and look. On the very first day, there was thousands there to check it out, but it is a brand new find from 2018, and they find these other structures in the area that they know are not actually graves, but are going to be tombs, like this one here that's about to be excavated. Is not far from it. And so they're building a museum right near there too that's going to hold some of King Tut's stuff and things. So it's pretty exciting that they're building this new area. But one of the Egyptologists, he speaks in Coptic and Egyptian, so he doesn't speak English to where you can hear it well in any of his videos. But what he's pointing out here is that the women, and how pale they are, and their headdresses and their bonnets that are holding them, and how the men that are here have blonde hair, right? And how all the women are here together, and the priestesses, and they're all extremely pale. And in a lot of these pictures, I don't know if it's picking up at the bottom here, but there's these blonde-haired people that are here. In fact, this god here, this guy, which has a cartouche next to him, and they have not named him yet, apparently is offering to her. You can see she is not pale in this. She is not shown as pale as over here, but she has a slight tan to herself. And it shows an odd color formation they have with that. And then these vases here, which are the same color, which is a very pinky peach color that they have created here. And I think they're going to investigate it to see if it's faded over time or anything along that line. But he's offering her a giant papyrus plant and a lotus and all these other things that are out here in front of it. But it's pretty neat. And there's, it's like a third of the males here are blonde-headed. And I don't know if it's picking up real well, but hopefully you can see it. And here he shows another picture of these blondes, and here he is again doing the same type of ritual given to her. And if you look, every single one of these guys is blonde-headed, which is odd. And people talk about how much tan they are and how they're real dark, but if you'll look, this man right here is this color. He's the color of everybody, but the oddity here is that the females are usually shown even more pale than a male. And in these depictions, it's showing her to be the same color. And they could say, well, nobility didn't have the pale color of a queen, that she was a princess and or a priestess, so she would have got out in the sun some, like the temple workers, like these people, some, but not as much as the people that worked out in the sun all day for the jobs that they did, such as stone workers. In fact, you can see this one guy here who was apparently a lotus farmer, who because of his farmerness is darker than the other ones. It's real interesting seeing that she's not pale. Now her dress is a little different, and here you see the two styles of kilts that they had. There are carvings that they can't quite make out on these rocks, and it is old, ancient, and what they're finding out is that you can see how deep this is in the shot, that this is how deep they are in comparative wise. And there are rows that they find of these holes, and of course birds live in them now and things. But through this valley here that they've found a few tombs that are built into it. But at the top level, on the rock, at base level, apparently there are hundreds of structures. I wouldn't say hundreds, 20, 30, 40 structures that are there, easily seen, easily looked at, and that they appear to be tombs enclosed, having roofs, and then other structures like courtyards and things that are around. It's interesting for them, and we're just now being allowed to make this type of archaeology. I mean, before it's been very nip and tuck and hula led in and very precise, and Zahiwas had a wash over it. Well, now they've kind of set him aside as being like the old professor emeritus, and they have new people doing it, and they want some new information, and they want to bring people back to Egypt and find something new. So they're going around and digging through graveyards, and they luckily run across something like this, where there are males bringing linen offerings along with females. And this is a female, it's got boobies, and they're pale as hell. The females and the males are both pale, and they seem to have about the same length of hair. It's very short, and they're not wearing wigs. But this one back here is wearing a wig. This one back here is wearing a wig. These aren't. And so the depictions that are in here seem odd, just slightly different. But then again, we're looking at a priestess and a princess. So this is, and it's 5th dynasty, by the way. I'm sorry if I didn't date it yet. They date it back to the 5th dynasty, and so she would have been somewhere in that reign that's there. Benifer and a few of the guys that are around in that time. But very interesting, the depictions on the wall. And some of the depictions show scenes like this right here, where there's a bunch of musicians, and you can't make it out in this shot, but I believe there's a monkey dancing in the middle of here while they're playing music. And there's another depiction of monkeys that are picking fruit, and that they had trained them and stuff, which is real neat. But again, now we're facing the other way, and you see the women priestesses here, a male which is normally tan, with a longer sash on than normal, it seems, and then she is not as pale as the women over here in the art. In fact, she's painted with that pink that's in these vase things, that's kind of a different color that they, not sure how they made it. Again, here she is over here, and there's her arm, and how pale it kind of is, but it's not the stark white. When they show her down here, and the goddess Isis, she is stark pale, but also this outfit is a little different, and it's got a double buttress around her boobies area, and it's got a double plate or a slit in it, and it looks more like Morticia Adams' dress. It's kind of a different depiction, and you see her also here overseeing this. This is her cartouche. But extremely interesting. And you look at some of these depictions, and they have musicians that are playing, and you can see how pale the women are here, and how they're not wearing the sash dresses. that go all the way down. This one appears to be nude. This one appears to be somewhat nude and or wearing pants. There is some cuffing at the leg or things that she's wearing. And if you look at this man here, he looks to be wearing pants. They look like cutoffs. They're cut off at the knee. It's not the normal look for a split robe, and you see a lot of pictures where they are bent down like this. And it shows it with a V, and you can see the other leg here, so it's an odd depiction. Also the way that it's wrapped and coiled, and the belting system. It looks almost like on a gi or something, is a little bit odd of a depiction. But again, we're not in the 18th and dynasties and stuff. We're at the 5th. We're at way back when. But you can see how pallid or pale that she is also. And a blonde-haired man here too that's sitting down here with him, and apparently they're playing music. But I'm not sure what this is depicting right here. It looks like a bunch of fruit or something in a group. And then here is a artisan that is a male, but notice how he's not dark like these people that are tanned up real well, but he's real pale. And he's an artisan, so apparently his work has been done indoors, and he's considered more nobility because he's darker than her, but not as dark as these guys. Notice that also the musician, which would be a temple musician up here, is actually slightly lighter than the guys that are out here. So they're actually blending colors to make things happen a little bit more, and it seems not to be so pinned down to where it's like guys are like this, girls are like that. And in fact, even the princess herself shows to be, well, she got a tan, or she's just not white, you know, like stark, like a lot of them are just on the edge of pale. And a lot of this has been ruined, but they can recreate a lot of it. But here's the way it looks from the outside. And you can see how they've had to go down and under and 14 foot to get that. And this was all under sand. It would have been taller than the top of these people here just recently, all the way across to here. And they've excavated all this out. And here's her temple. And here's this place here that's open. But then there is that other temple place that's over there, a structure. And there's another one that's just off to the right. And it's pretty neat. Hopefully this is showing up in here. I've got it in 4K mode, but you see the Great Pyramid of Giza sitting right behind it. So it's right in the shadow of Giza, if you will. And it's pretty neat. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed that. And we'll look at some more of this information as it comes out. Again, they didn't find a mummy or even a sarcophagus in there. Apparently it had been taken out in primordial times, but it was apparently way, way back on the elder grave robbing. It's not something that was even, 0 BC-ish or anywhere close to there. It seemed like it had been robbed way, way before this whole place, which was a necropolis, was pretty much sealed off under sand for thousands of years. We're just now finding what's in this area that they thought was a partial graveyard, and now it's showing up to have tombs of people that weren't the king's tombs, but princess and priestesses and nobility. And the art styles that are showing up in this, being this old, are quite odd and unique in a few aspects that give us a new insight to it. And I can't wait to see more information on it. So like and subscribe, and share if you will, and wait for another video to come out on this. This has just been released in the last 4 or 5 days as info, and this is the first decent footage I've really gotten out of it. So we're soon to see a lot more, and there's about to be a Discovery Channel thing on it and so on, and it'll go from there. And they're going to put that out, of course, to try to make more people interested in Egypt and see if they can get some tourism back after the bombing and the problems that they've had recently. Anyhow, enjoy.